Another day, another awkward media moment involving a celebrity. This happened on the Today Show during the Jenna and Friends portion of it. And Jenna Bush Hager and Olivia Munn were interviewing actress Minka Kelly about her new Netflix rom-com. And the interview was good for the most part. They talked about putting up their Christmas trees early and her filming the movie in France and working with her co-star, which she didn't know prior to starting the movie. So overall, the segment was good. But then there came a point where Jenna Bush Hager asks Minka about her own relationship, her significant other. Let's take a look.
Okay, well, speaking about the holidays and love and this rom-com, you're have a very big love in your life right now. Talk about your relationship, if you feel comfortable. I think you posted this B-Day message saying he healed wounds he didn't inflict.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I feel very lucky. He's a really good guy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like you don't want to talk about it. That's fine.
You could tell as Jenna was starting to ask the question that she was thinking, oh, maybe this is territory I should not be embarking on. But she continued on with the question. And then the response from Minka Kelly that really stood out was really her facial expression that she was like, like, whoa, what do you mean? What are you asking me this for? That was kind of the reaction. So as a result of that, it generated news stories. And that is the part that you really have to remember when you're going into an interview and knowing that you could be asked about something you don't really want to talk about. Let's recognize here that when we have these interviews, everyone has a job to do, right? No one's gathering at a well-lit studio in New York City with full hair and makeup just for the fun of it, right? Both parties have a job. So the interviewer is there to put on a good segment, make it fun, make it lively, make it interesting, perhaps get a little information out of the celebrity that other interviewers have not gotten out of that celebrity. And then the actor is there to promote their film or their TV show or their product line, whatever they have going. And then there's going to be some banter in between about other things. So overall, both parties want these interviews to go well. They want them to be interesting and they want the audience to have some sort of takeaway. Let's talk about an alternative reaction that Minka Kelly could have had. When she heard Jenna Bush going down this path and she kind of realized there was going to be a question about her relationship that she didn't want to talk about, she could have just kept her facial expression the same. The facial expression and body language, not go and then not move back. Just keep the body language the same, keep the facial expression the same, and then respond. She could have said something like, well, actually, let's go back. The question was, talk about your relationship if you feel comfortable. She could have said something like, well, actually, I don't really feel comfortable talking about my personal relationship. I like to keep my private life private. But, I did share a lot about my upbringing in my book, and I do think it helped a lot of people to learn about the challenges that I faced. So that could have been using a bridging technique where she's not saying, what are you talking about? No comment. She's not saying that, but she's saying, I'd actually prefer not to comment on my personal life at this point in time. But I have shared in the past, and she did share a lot of her personal life and a lot of the difficulties that she faced when she was growing up. And a lot of people were able to read that book. And if they're facing similar challenges, to see somebody who overcame a lot of obstacles and was able to really build a successful life, it's really inspiring. So she could have used a bridging technique, kept her body language and her facial expressions just the same, brought it up, bridged to the other thing, and then kept it moving. Probably would not have generated another story. I actually saw this story on page 6 and look at the headline. Minka Kelly awkwardly shuts down Jenna Bush Hager's question. So there's a headline, and now there's a lot of views on this story. And the story probably would never have even happened if she had just nonchalantly answered it and kept it low key. Also, Olivia Munn jumped in because there were some awkward moments there. So she jumped in and tried to change the subject and keep it moving. So the story was about there was the awkward question, there was the awkward response, and then there was changing the subject and moving on to something else. And this is a subject that you don't know about. Some celebrities are fine with talking about their personal life and their relationships, and some aren't. And you just have to be able to roll with the punches if you're going to be doing these kinds of interviews. Something else I want to talk about. I know some people decide that they shouldn't do media because there are some touchy subjects that they have and they just don't want to have to go there. So they really miss out on media opportunities. But the truth is, if you are promoting something, like if you're a celebrity and you're promoting a book or a TV show or a movie, there's really no way to not do media because it is part of your job to not only perform in the production, but then also promote it as well. So really what needs to happen is just to think about all the topics that may come up that you're really not interested in talking about publicly and figuring out what would be a good response. Again, you're not going to shut it down, but you're going to maybe acknowledge what the interviewer asked you, and then you're going to bridge to something else so that you can kind of keep it pleasant, maybe keep it light, and then just keep going and introduce a whole nother topic and talk about that. Because if you watch the interview, Olivia Munn did bring up Minka Kelly's book as a topic that she did share stuff about. So you could tell that Olivia Munn wanted to kind of smooth things over quickly and not make it into like a really big deal. Because as I said earlier, it was a good segment and they did talk about some fun things and it was lively and it was moving along. So there was nothing wrong with it until they got to that moment where there was that awkward time. So how can we apply these lessons to our lives? Like for normies, if you're not a celebrity, you're a normal person. And, maybe you could be serving on a panel at your local chamber of commerce or something. And granted, it's not a nationally televised show, but it is where you are in front of an audience that is important to you. Your image and your brand it's important that you show up and express yourself in a way that makes a really good impression on the audience. And I always go back to just anticipating what kinds of questions could come your way. What kinds of questions do you not want to answer? Because the ones we want to answer, that's not really hard for us to do, other than keeping it really concise and to the point. I work with folks on that as well. But the questions that you don't want to answer, really thinking about what would be the best way to respond so that I'm giving a little nugget of information and then I'm bridging to another topic that is also relevant to that audience. Like you can't bridge from, oh, I don't want to talk about my personal life, but I got a new cat. That's not relevant. But like in this situation, like I don't really want to talk about my private life, but I did write a book where I shared a lot about my private life in the past. So you could say at this stage of my life, here's where I'm at, and here's how I feel about it. Previously, I was more interested in doing that or was more open, or in the future, I plan to do this. It's really just about figuring out how to acknowledge what's being said, stay in the moment, stay relaxed, stay calm. Don't appear judgmental or shocked or whatever. Just stay calm. Say like, yep, okay, I've got this. And then talk about something else that is related that is also going to be interesting to the audience. So it's really not that hard to do, but the planning is what's important. When you're a celebrity and you've been in the public eye for a long time, you've done a lot of interviews, you don't necessarily need media training, but you do need media prep so that you can go into any interview and have bullet points of items that you want to discuss that will be interesting to the audience about your life and your experience and what you're doing. And, maybe it's coming up with a few topics that you're okay with people knowing about. It could be a hobby, it could be habits you have, like they did, like talked about putting their Christmas trees up early. That's something, oh yeah, I want to put my Christmas tree up early and enjoy it for a longer time. Those types of little tidbits of information that people would go like, oh, that's interesting, or like, oh, I relate to that. I do that as well. So what are the takeaways here? I always advise people don't react with your facial expressions or your body. Just always stay calm and relaxed. Before you go into an interview, anticipate what questions could come your way that you really don't want to answer. And then come up with answers that are going to be sufficient for when you get those questions that you are well prepared. These are the topics that I cover in my Smart Presence media coaching. If you're interested in booking a call with me or taking my free course, please check out the links below this video, and I'll see you in the next one.